Okay. Welcome to 10 Tech Entrepreneurs in Nebraska. I'm Shonna Dorsey with the Nebraska Tech Collaborative and intern Nebraska powered by Exarban. Here with my co-host.
Brian Poppe. I work at Mutual of Omaha. Boy, and we are joined today by Karen. And Karen, I don't know that I picked up how to pronounce your last name, so I'm sorry about this.
It's a tough one. It's Borchert.
Borchert?
Yeah.
Ugh,
Yeah, it's
all
like
right.
a mouthful. Yeah.
I kind of like it. That's a very
Yeah.
like you're going to get something done with a last name like Borchert.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's what we're here for.
Karen, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Thanks for having me.
We're so glad you're here.
Great.
So go ahead, Shonna. You set up this one.
No, you do it.
I was going to say,
whoa,
I'm sitting back waiting. I was like, go ahead.
All right. This is one of the first that are like connected.
Oh,
the two
yes.
podcasts we've got connected. So
Yes.
I guess before we get started, 10 is a 10-minute podcast. No cuts, no edits, maybe a retake or two somewhere sprinkled in there. But for the most part, this is the live conversation. So again, we're stringing together two different podcasts. So last week we had on Marina, who currently works at Alpaca.
Right.
And today
Yes.
we have Karen,
the
who is founder of Alpaca.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm so glad you got to talk to Marina. She's the life of the whole place. She's fantastic.
She is a very energetic, high, good energy person.
Oh yeah.
You know?
She's magic.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
Not to continue to talk about her while she's not here, but she did have a super interesting story about how she eventually got the job.
Yeah.
And you gave us one other tidbit that she did not share, which was that job offer came in a somewhat unique way.
That's true. That's true. Marina and I were talking back and forth over text message, and I finally sent her a job description, but we were back and forth with a whole bunch of different crazy conversations. And so I finally just offered her the whole job over text message. She accepted over text message, and she showed up the next week. And so she got there. So it's the only time I've ever offered a job over text, but it worked.
Yeah, that worked out great.
Yeah. That is fantastic. Okay, wait. We got to back all the way up.
Perfect.
How did we get here?
Yeah.
Karen, you started your own company, which we're so happy to see that's becoming a more common thing here in Nebraska, Omaha.
Mm-hmm.
So good to see. But how did you get there?
Yeah. Well, I grew up in Nebraska. I spent a lot of years away from Nebraska in a couple of different places and a lot of different roles. Started out in nonprofit leadership and then moved into operations for technology companies and was sort of most recently COO at Flywheel. And so learned a ton from all of those leaders and founders and teams there. So that was amazing. And when I was there, they asked me, they're like, what are you going to do next? And I was sitting with Rick actually at Wilson and Washburn. And he said, what are you going to do next? And I said, well, I think we should figure out a way to pay teachers like software developers. And he was like, what? I was like, well, it's not exactly as simple as that, but I feel like my degree is actually in teaching. And then I went down an entrepreneurial path instead from the very beginning. But I've always had a really strong respect for the profession of teaching and education. And but it's always been really hard to think of it as a viable career path to go back to. I think a lot of technology team members feel that way. I've heard them say, I'd love to teach English. I'd love to teach computer science. But a lot of people don't because it's a profession that hasn't gained the same level of respect, yet it is so vitally important. And so I said at that time, there's got to be better ways to invest in this profession in a way that's not charity. Teachers aren't charity cases. They're professionals. They have extraordinary professional degrees and do amazing work. And so we should be investing in it in that profession in different ways. So I started Alpaca to do that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So I guess I just want to say I love that we got an exit in Omaha and it has spurned multiple new businesses.
Yeah,
yes,
so you're not the first Flywheeler to come through here and say, I was at Flywheel and now I'm doing this thing.
Yeah.
I love that so much.
I do too.
We need more of that in Nebraska.
Yes.
Yeah. And one of my favorite things about that is actually that almost everybody that left Flywheel to start or join the leadership of a company is bringing this this kind of lens of creating an extraordinary culture or creating an extraordinary employee experience into their businesses. So Workshop does that, obviously, in the way they're doing internal communications. We're kind of all about the employee experience that teachers have at school. You see it happening at Pet Friendly with the way that they are, they're kind of moving. You see it in Bloomerang. Like there's just just so many cool things that are happening. And I think the idea of great company cultures is coming from almost everybody who left Flywheel has that as part of the focus of their new role, which I think is so cool.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
And to see it just get embedded into other companies is
Yes.
fantastic.
Yeah.
So
Agree.
Great point.
Yeah.
Did you have a follow-up?
Oh yeah, I had nothing else there on the Flywheel.
okay.
So I was back to Alpaca still.
Yeah,
Like,
sure.
Yeah. So tell us about like maybe the first, like getting the first few customers and then scaling to where you are now. Cause like to me, anybody who's considering an entrepreneur career is like, that's gotta be like the scariest thing of like, well, I've got this great idea.
Yeah.
Here's what I want to do. I want to like improve the employee experience for teachers or figure out a way to like treat them like software developers effectively.
Yeah, right.
But I've got to find a way to get a customer. And then from there, I've got to figure out how do I get my 10th customer, my 100th customer, my 1000th customer.
Okay. My bad. I do need to ask one other question in here is what is Alpaca?
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah. That's a really good question. Right. So I'll answer them both in
perfect.
Yours first and then yours.
Yeah.
So Alpaca is, we're focused on creating basically recognition and support systems for teachers, for schools. So all of the ways that we create amazing support systems for employees and other companies. So things like recognition and rewards, employee engagement, surveys, new ways to make sure that all employees have a seat at the table and have a voice in the room. All of those things are the things that we do. We do it through a really unique model up front, and actually kind of how we started and got our first customer was with something that looked a little bit like, if you're familiar with a lot of subscription boxes like Stitch Fix for teachers, but paid for by schools. So it was a pack of sort of supplies, teacher appreciation, snacks and treats, just like something that would just absolutely make a teacher's day, make them feel really special and important, but provided by the school, PTO, parents, and community members who really believe in the profession. And so we did that early on with a pilot of 5 schools, starting with my kids' own school, because that was the easiest principal to get a meeting with. And so we started there, and it caught on really fast among teachers and principals here in Omaha. And then, you're right that one of the hardest and most challenging things is not, in a way, it's not your first customer, because when you get your first customer, that's when you're like, ooh, I have an idea that might actually turn into a business. And then, you go over and get office space, and then all of a sudden you're like, I got to sell this to so many more people.
Office space is expensive.
Hey, hold on, wait a minute. So really it's, now it's about, saying, okay, well, Omaha or the schools right around us, they have these needs, but different schools and school districts, there's lots of districts in this country that have one elementary, one middle school, one high school. The superintendent's playing double duty as the elementary principal, and their needs are really different, and their teachers are really different. So we're learning how to create kind of these recognition systems or support systems for districts of all sizes. And so, I actually just got back last night we've been on the road for 2 weeks at conferences of school administrators, school principals, and you spend a few days with a whole bunch of school administrators in Anaheim, California. You learn a lot. It's really good. So honestly, like we're big learners, and I'm in big learning mode, and that's kind of how we scale it. So as we're growing, we're turning into kind of a more complete, lots more data and surveys coming in, lots more insights back to school administrators, and then continuing with really wonderful hospitality back to teachers. So that's what we're doing.
Yeah, fascinating. I hadn't thought about like customer niches that way of like, this is a small school district and they need X, and this is. I almost feel like the larger ones are going to be easier to serve, harder to get into, right? But once you're like, you've got the meeting, then I think it's probably easier. Yeah,
there's a little more bureaucracy on those big school districts, but there's a little bit more budget too.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is awesome. So how long have you been at this now?
We started our pilot in January of 22.
Okay.
So we're just into our second full school year. So we support about 3,000 teachers. We just signed.
Congratulations.
Thanks. We just signed about 100 schools across Iowa. So we're expanding to our second state fully. And it's really fun. We've got, just an extraordinarily joyful team running things over here in Millwork Commons. So we're having a good time.
That's awesome. And how large is your team now?
We have 7 of us.
7?
Yeah, 7 of us, including Marina, who is really, kind of all of our bosses.
Well, Karen, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much. This was really fun.
Yeah, to hear the background of Alpaca and, connect those couple 2 podcasts that we've recorded.
Cool. Great. Thank you so much.
It's going to be good.
Yeah, thanks for
I
doing
know
this.
we have 5 seconds. That feels like a
Yeah.
long time, but we will definitely plug Alpaca. And how can people help? That's one final question.
Oh, yeah. Meet I think, introduce us to the schools, districts, and principals in your life. That's
Okay.
that's that's what we need.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.